The Messenger, bringing horror to life. 1.
The Black Van by Storyteller 21293 on Reddit. This was Halloween last year. Me and a couple of buddies were out getting candy. Our neighborhood isn't the nicest, but it isn't the worst. I'd say it's about medium. About 90 minutes in, and we see a house with a sign that says, "Go to the van for candy," which had an arrow pointing down, which meant behind us. And sure enough, we saw a black van. This house at the end of the street. So I wouldn't have been easy to get away fast. But anyways, we go to the van, and we see a man, and he's in the driver's seat. He tells us something like, Your candy's in the back. Here, open up the door and get in so you can have some." I know when something's up. And my God, were my alarms punching my brain in the face. With this, we looked at each other with a confused look. We asked the man, "Why isn't the door already opened? Couldn't you have done the thing with the take one note or something?" He says nothing to us, just tells us to get in the back or no candy. We say no, and then continues on our candy collecting. About 20 after the van event, we were 2 blocks away and see a van about halfway down the street behind us. The same black van from before. I tell the others, and we agree to haul ass back to one of their houses. Once the van notices us running, it straight up hauls ass in the other direction. Once we get in our house and tell our parents, they're just calling the police and screaming at them, like, to find a van. Like I said, it's been about a year, and we agreed not to trick-or-treat this year. I don't know what would have happened if I or anyone would have gotten into that van.
2.
Scary Halloween Story by darkkillerdiamond from Reddit. This story happened back in 2017. I was trick-or-treating when my legs started to hurt like hell. Thankfully, my house was nearby, so I walked home. Had my dad check on me, and he said he was going to the house across the street. I said okay. My dad left. I was laying on the couch eating some candy, and suddenly my body went numb. I couldn't move. My vision got all weird. The best way to put it is black snowflakes. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. I was suddenly able to move my head. I looked into the other room when I saw a tall figure walking very slowly. But then, it all ended. I was able to move again. I told my mom about it, along with a few friends. If you have any good explanation why this happened to me, please tell me.
3.
Always Have Candy on Halloween by darkkillerdiamond from No Sleep on Reddit. Halloween is coming up again. You're probably happy about this. Getting candy, dressing up. Hell, you probably party. Not me though. I hate Halloween. You're probably wondering why I hate Halloween. Let me tell you. 3 years ago, I decided to invite my friends over for Halloween. My parents were bringing my little brother trick-or-treating. I thought me and my friend Daryl would game while they were out. So I called him up. And he got here in about 5 minutes. Well, that was fast.
I didn't feel like handing out candy at my place.
I laughed, and we got to the gaming. Daryl was always better than me at any game we played. It never really bothered me until he started bragging about it.
"Beat you again, is that 10-0?
Okay, I get it. Then we heard a knock at the door. I went to check it out, and I opened the door to a kid wearing a skeleton costume. "Trick or treat!" The kid held up his bag, waiting for me to give him some candy. "Sorry, we don't have any candy." He just stood there and stared at me. The more I looked, the more I noticed his costume looked more and more realistic. It looked like he was an actual skeleton. The kid finally turned around and left. I closed the door and went back. I picked up my controller and started gaming again. 10 minutes later, I heard another knock at the door. "We have no candy." Thinking they left, we went back to the game. Until I heard the knock again, and we ignored them. They didn't stop. I was getting pretty pissed. Go away, I yelled. The knocks finally stopped. I calmed down and decided to get a drink. I told Daryl I would be back. So I went to the kitchen to get a glass of water, until I noticed that the back door was open. When was this opened? I said to myself. I closed it, but then I heard Daryl scream. I rushed to him and got terrified when I saw the skeleton kid trying to stab him. I ran over and went to kick him off, but when I did, his head came off. It rolled for a while, but it finally stopped rolling and said trick or treat. I was about to scream, realizing he was an actual skeleton. His body walked over and picked up his head, putting it back on. If you don't have a treat, then how about a trick? His mouth then stretched open, touching the floor. His arms grew long, then grabbing my friend's leg and started to drag him into his mouth. I grabbed Daryl's hand, trying to save him, but it didn't matter. The skeleton was too strong and pulled Daryl into his mouth. Daryl screamed for help before the skeleton's mouth shut. He then went back to normal. I didn't know what to say or do. The boy grabbed his knife and put it back in his bag. Before leaving, he turned around and said, "Happy Halloween," before slamming the door behind him. I just stood there, knowing I couldn't save my friend. Daryl was reported missing, but I never told anybody what happened that night. Who would believe me? I still blame myself for what happened. Now, every Halloween, I make sure to have candy, and this Halloween is no different.
I hope you enjoyed these Halloween horror stories. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Sweet dreams, or perhaps nightmares. And remember, don't shoot the messenger.